It's great to be here. All praise to Yahuwah and Yahusha's name that we are allowed to see another day. I'm blessed to be able to come out and speak. We are going to start. We're gonna go into part two of knowing Yahusha reboot. But before I actually get started into the teaching, there's some things that Abba Yah put on my heart to address and to speak about because I have seen a number of people, on Facebook and even like amongst the so quote unquote in the truth, quote unquote saying they believe, um, they're actually starting to get into other things. We're seeing like things like a witchcraft getting introduced into the scriptures, which, you know, the scriptures, the Abba Yah through his Torah has expressively told us not to do these things. We have seen mixings and all this other stuff that the Torah that the Father speaks against. So what I want to go to right now is a reading in Exodus. We're going to Exodus, the book, chapter 23. And I'm going to start in verse 20. Okay, Exodus 23 and in verse 20. See, we're in a time, I want to say before I go into this real quick, and like I said, this is before we get into the teaching, but we have to understand the times we are living in this day and this age. The Most High is definitely trying to wake up all his people, all those that are called by his name. He's trying to get all Yashra. That's all of them. That means physical descended and grafted in. All those that believe in walking in righteousness, that hold on to the covenant of Yahuwah. Isaiah speaks on this, or Yashayahu. But we're going to go in Exodus 23 and in verse 20. See, I am sending a messenger before you to guard you in the way and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. So Yahuwah is telling us right now, he's bringing a messenger is coming. Be on guard before him, before this messenger, and obey his voice. Do not rebel against him, for he is not going to pardon your transgression, for my name is in him. This is what we are seeing. Yahuwah is explaining to Moshe. He's telling him that my messenger is coming before you. This messenger has my name. And I'm not going to get too much into it, but to say that Yahusha is who he's talking about. This messenger is Yahusha. Okay, verse 23. For my messenger shall go before you and shall bring you into the Amorites and the Hittites and the Perizzites and the Canaanites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, and I shall cut them off. This is careful. Do not bow down to their mighty ones, nor serve them, nor do according to their works, but without fail overthrow them, and without fail break down their pillars, and you shall serve Yahuwah your Elohim, and he shall bless your bread and your water, and I shall remove sickness from you, from your midst. See, I'm going to go back up to verse 24, though, because he's clearly telling us we don't bow down to their mighty ones. We don't serve their mighty ones. We don't do according to their works. We are coming into a time where people do this thing called Christmas. If they were to do their research about it, they would understand that it is steeped, drenched in origin, is pagan. Started in Nimrod. If you go through and, like I said, history research on that, you will see that we have a lot of things that has been brought into today's society that people just do because they feel it's tradition and nothing's wrong with it. Well, Yahuwah does not change, Malachi 3:6. So when he does not change, the things that he called good is good, and the things that he called evil is evil, and it's always going to be like that. That is what we have to understand. He will always be consistent, he will never change. If he has not been for learning the ways of the nations and learning how to serve their mighty ones, then that means we shouldn't be doing that either to this day. He's very, very consistent with it.
Yeah, I wanted to add something too with that. That was also meaning like, yeah, you can agree to disagree, but that's actually, agreeing to disagree. Like, okay, I agree that you had nothing to bring forward, so at that point, I'm not accepting anything that you do.
I mean, and that's right. When we see like the dealings of like when we go through the scriptures and we see like Abraham dealing with the other nation, like everyone dealing outside of righteousness, we'll say. Um, we see there was always a respect as far as like you're not attacking or you know anything like that as far as when they're not in the land. Let's understand this as well. When they're not in the land. Um, so it wasn't, but you also did not accept, like with Daniel, when he was in Babylon, when Nebuchadnezzar, he brought the food to them. He said, I can't eat or drink what you guys do. Just give me water and vegetables and see if in 10 days time my countenance is, and so going and forth. So even with that, as we see, we don't do things that the other nations do. We're a set apart people. That's what he's always called us to be, set apart, for I am set apart. So we have to always walk in that. And so I just really wanted to bring that out. And I just want to jump down to 32 real quick because again he says, and this again, do not make a covenant with them, nor with their mighty ones. Let not them let them not dwell in your land, lest, and this is why he said, don't let them dwell in your land. This is why they couldn't dwell in Yashraal, lest, or for fear of, they make you sin against me when you serve their mighty ones, when it becomes a snare to you. See, this is the whole point. If they have to understand, we serve Yahweh and Yahweh alone. We walk in Yahweh's commands, we walk in Yahweh's statutes, and this is how we are. Now, we are, and I've said it many times, now if you are willing to be on that mindset, if you are willing to say, yes, Yahweh is my only is only Elohim. I'm only gonna serve Yahweh. Just like Ruth. When you have that mindset where you walk away from whatever you were to become part of Yashraal, then you become part of Yashraal. That's why it's even in Exodus, in Torah, where he says there's going to be one law for the native born and the stranger among you. See, he's letting us all know that he is all inclusive. He loves everyone. That's not ever been a thing with Yahweh about, people like to, like, especially some of the brews. We wake up in this community and we're like, yeah, we find out that Judah, we the people, and then we get very, how do I want to say, for a lack of better word, we honestly get no different than how like KKK members are. It's really no different. It's the same move. We got to understand that yes, we are the people, but because of that, we come from this nation. We need to embrace that fully. Meaning, we need to walk righteously. That's what Yashra'al was supposed to do. Walk righteously. Yashra'al was supposed to be a nation, a kingdom of priests. That's what they're supposed to do. So when you come into this truth, you are then supposed to be walking as Yashraal. You're supposed to be becoming a priest, a light to the other nations. You're supposed to be a light and a priest to others of Yashraal. This is just how we're supposed to be. This is what Yahusha taught. Yahusha tried to teach us the Melchizedek priesthood, how to operate as priests of Yahweh. That's what we were supposed to get. And people don't get that if you don't have Yahusha, because you don't trust what Yahusha did. You don't have the Ruach, because that's who Yahusha is. He's the spirit of Yahweh. Uh, and I'm going to go into that more. But like I said, I just wanted to touch real quick on Exodus 23, because like I said, Father put it on my heart, because he's been seeing mixing. He's been seeing all these things about people mixing and wanting to incorporate other things and want to try to like co-inhabit, coexist. We can't do that. We can only do it under the parameters Yahweh has set. He says, all people I will accept, but I have to accept them under my Torah. They have to come under my instruction. If they are not going to submit to my will, then they are not going to be in my kingdom. They're not going to um, inherit the earth like these things are prophesied. This is why he's telling us these things. So we have to understand and we have to be very careful. Yashraal, all of Yashraal. That's like I said, all of Yashraal. When I say Yashraal, I talk about native born and the stranger grafted in who've joined themselves to Yashraal, who've joined themselves to the covenant of Yahweh. That is when y'all hear me say Yashraal, that's what I'm talking about. Unless I specifically break it down. But other than that, I'm gonna go on and get right into this teaching. We left off in Book of Enoch, actually, discovering who Yahusha was. I'm not gonna read a lot of Enoch 46 because we went over it. So yeah, again, this is for when people want to say that Yahusha is not in the Old Testament. They don't believe in Yahusha. They don't understand, all this and that. So Enoch is in the Dead Sea Scrolls, like I said last Shabbat. Um, so these things supersede. They're an older manuscript, older writing that shows Mashiach, that testifies of him. And so we're gonna, and then again, if we believe what's written, this was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, but we got to understand Enoch was before the flood. Enoch was before the flood, before Noah, before Abram. Enoch was before that. So to say, we're just gonna read it. We're just gonna get onto it right now. Like I said, Enoch. We're gonna start in chapter 46, and just start in verse 1. There, I beheld the ancient of days, whose head was white, whose head was like white wool, and with him another, whose countenance resembled that of man. His countenance was full of grace, like one of the set apart angels. Then I inquired of one of the angels who went with me, and who showed me every secret thing concerning this son of Adam, who he was, whence he was, and why he accompanied the Ancient of Days. See, he was with the Ancient of Days. Let's go to John 1 real quick. Go to John 1. So we're seeing in Enoch, in the flood, before the flood, Enoch is in this vision where he sees the Ancient of Days, and then he sees one accompanying him. Accompanied with. That's what we read, right? I'm going to read it over again. Where was I? And then I inquired of one of the angels who went with me and who showed me every secret thing concerning this son of Adam, who he was, whence he was, and why he accompanied the Ancient of Days. Verse 2, and I'm still in Enoch 46, but I'm going to go over to John 1. Just bear with me. And he answered and said to me, this is the son of Adam, to whom righteousness belongs, and with whom righteousness is dwelt, in who will reveal all the treasures. So this son of Adam, the son of man, that's accompanying Yahuwah, who's accompanying the Ancient of Days. Righteousness belongs to him. Righteousness is dwelt. He is going to be the one to reveal all the treasures of that which is concealed. For Yahuwah Zabaoth has chosen him, and his portion has surpassed all before Yahuwah Zabaoth in everlasting uprightness. All right, I'm going to stop right there. We're going to jump over to John 1, the book of John, not First John, the book of John, the Gospel of John.
Hey, real quick, is there anybody on the live? It's not popping up on Facebook.
It's not popping up on Facebook.
That's what I was checking out. It looked like you were live for real on there.
It is. It's showing I'm live here, but it ain't popped up on Facebook. Hold on.
I usually get a notification that you are on live, and I'm on your page, and that's not showing.
It's not showing. Oh, hold up. They trying to. I was wondering why like no one seemed to seem like this. Let's see.
Last thing on your page is Shankula. Shankula pose.
Huh. Oh, no, it's showing on mine.
Maybe we gotta wait till it's done.
I guess that's weird.
I don't know.
Continue on.
Well,
Send it to my
Continue
friend.
on.
Well, yeah, I'll continue on and we'll. Yeah, Salakia, forgive me, everyone. We were just trying to make sure everything was going right. So like I said, we're going to John 1 now, the book, John. It says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Elohim. So so we're seeing this word was with Elohim in John 1. That's what we're seeing. But in Enoch, let me get back over here. My page is flipped. Enoch 46, we read that this son of Adam was accompanying, he was with Elohim, with Yahuwah, the Ancient of Days, as it's written. And it says, the treasuries of which is concealed, like he's supposed to have an everlasting uprightness, is his portion, his inheritance is going to be greater. So we see he was in the beginning. We've seen that. Enoch shown that. He was in the beginning with Elohim. And all came to be through him. And without him, not even one came to be that came to be. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. So we're seeing the beginning of John 1 lining up with Genesis, or with Enoch right here, 46 and verse 1. And then if we were to go into Genesis 1, we would see, go back to, as it says, in the beginning.
That's what I was just looking at.
And it says, in the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. And the earth came to be formless and empty, and darkness was on the face of the deep. And the Spirit, so we already see right here in verse 2 that darkness. Didn't we just see about the light of men? We read that in John 1. The Spirit of Elohim was moving. The Spirit of Elohim was moving on the face of the waters. And Elohim said, let there be light. Let light come to be. And light came to be. So we're seeing that this light, the Spirit, is what brought illumination into a dark world. The Spirit brought Yahuwah. Hallelujah. So I'm going to go over now to Enoch. We're still in Enoch here. Been going back and forth. And we're going to Enoch, and we're going to go into chapter 104. Enoch 104. And I want to go down to, we're going to start in verse 7. So I'm in Enoch, the book of Hanak, the book of Enoch, in the chapter 104. And in verse 7, I'm starting. Now will I point out a mystery. Many sinners shall turn and transgress against the word of uprightness. So what's the word of uprightness? Yahuwah's word, Yahusha. So we're seeing these things being mentioned in Enoch. Let's understand this. These things are being mentioned in Enoch, and that became fully manifested or started showing manifestations that we see in the quote-unquote New Testament. Verse 8, they shall speak evil things and shall utter falsehood and create a great creation and compose books in their own words. So these books that they're composing are not the words of Yahweh, but they're their own words, the own words of man. But when they shall write all my words correctly in their own languages, so when they start writing his words correctly, what they're actually saying, and that's what I want to say is like that's what I try to teach straight from the book. And that meant, Yahuwah dealt with me as far as learning more about the original Abrit, which is erroneously called Hebrew.
But they said
Um,
they. That's interesting.
but I'm sorry.
They said the pronoun they, which is plural, more than one person can write my word correctly.
Well, yeah, and it says,
They compose it in their own.
but when they shall write all my words correctly in their own language. So it is when they write them correctly. We've been dealing with a lot of mistranslations, a lot of false translations.
Right.
So that's why I've like I said, the Father's been dealing with me to learn the Abri, to learn how to speak and write and understand what it was originally written when he gave it to Moshe.
Right.
Because when we understand better the original writing, we can understand like context. For example, I think we went over it a little bit off outside of the teaching, but when we were talking about like the Hebrew word, the Abrit word, tuv, or what they say is tov, as in good. That's translated usually as where you'll see good. But it's when you look at it in the Abrit language, the word is more for functional. So making sure things are functioning, like when he said he created the lights and created things, he said, and then it was good. It was functioning. It was working. It was
Progressive and protective of virtue
So-
too. I think part of writing correctly is protecting virtue.
I mean, you have to understand that you have to get his essence correctly. What he put down is what he wanted conveyed. And it's actually simple. Like the word says, it's not hard for you. It's near and dear to you. So he didn't give his instructions so that it would have to take rocket science to figure it out. It just took the spirit and knowing who he is. So going on and jumping down to verse 10. Another mystery also I point out. To the righteous and the wise shall be given books or it says Sapharim of joy, of integrity, and of great wisdom. So he's saying to the righteous, this is the books they're gonna get. This is the books they're gonna get.
Again. Could you read that?
Another mystery to point out, and I'm in verse 10. Another mystery also I point out. To the righteous. So he's letting them know this is to the righteous. And the wise. So you gotta be righteous and wise. Shall be given books of joy, of integrity. And if we understand that word integrity from the Abrit standpoint, that's where a lot of people will see where it's translated in Genesis where he says, walk before me and be perfect when he was talking to Abraham. That integrity is the same word. Be in real, exactly, 100% authentic in your character.
That's what my personal book is subtitled, The Dreamland's Magic to Integrity.
Where was I at? And to them shall books be given in which they shall believe. So you're gonna believe these books. These certain books, well, as we're seeing right here, you got books that people they look at these the Bible, they look at the scriptures, they look at the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Enoch and the Jubilees and all these, the Maccabees, they don't believe these books. Or they'll go as far as say, well, the Bible was written by man and this and that. And it's like you speak without understanding. There are people who speak without wisdom because the book says the same thing consistently all throughout it. All throughout it. In Genesis and over, exactly, over and over and over again. So we're seeing right here, we're living in a time where we're seeing abundance of books. We're seeing an abundance of books, abundance of this and that, and it actually goes back, if we're going to look at it, this is Enoch speaking. We can jump up into Daniel, where he said, seal up the book, time, knowledge will increase. People will go back and forth. These things are written. In fact, you know what? We're going to go there. I want to make sure I quoted that right.
Daniel.
We want to make sure I hit that right.
That was Daniel 9,
I believe it was Daniel 9. No. Maybe it was
Or was it 6?
Daniel 12, I want to say.
12.
I want to double check though. Um. Yep. Um. We are gonna go. Yep. It is Daniel 12. Um. And I'm just gonna start in verse 4. It says, "But you, Daniel, hide the words and seal the book until the time of the end. Many shall diligently search, and knowledge shall increase." And then it goes on and says, "Then I, Daniel, looked and saw two others standing." We're gonna jump down further. We're gonna just jump down to verse 9. It says, "And he said, Go, Daniel, for the words are hidden and sealed till the time of the end. Many shall be cleansed and made white and refined, but the wrong shall do wrong, and none of the wrong shall understand. But those who have insight shall understand." Sounds like what we read in Enoch.
Yeah.
And from the time that which is continual is taken away, and the abomination that lays waste is set up, is 1,200. And blessed is he who is waiting earnestly and comes to the 1,335 days. But you go your way till the end and rest and arise to your lot at the end of the days. So I mean, I just wanted to show where again we see in Daniel the increasing of books, the increasing of knowledge, and it's going hand in hand with Enoch.
Could I quote Job too?
Book of Job.
Yes, Job 42. Then Job replied to the Lord, "I know that you can do all things, no purpose of yours can be thwarted. You asked, who is this that obscures my plans without knowledge? Surely I spoke of things I did not understand."
Exactly. We tend to speak without understanding, and he's showing us that in the end, I'm going to give you guys understanding if you hear me. I will give you guys knowledge and wisdom in the ways to life, the living water. He says, "I'll freely give it to you." And this is just showing, what we're seeing that was written before the flood. We are seeing now manifested here in 2020. We're seeing this. Okay, and I'm gonna start in 11. "And in which they shall rejoice, and all the righteous shall be rewarded." See, all the righteous shall be rewarded. That's all righteous. Got to be righteous. We got to understand what Yahuwah calls righteousness on top of that, because that's very important. We got to be righteous in His eyes. "And all the righteous shall be rewarded, who from these shall acquire." Okay, Daniel, what did I say? Go out there. "And all the righteous shall be rewarded, who from these shall acquire the knowledge of every upright path." So they're going to know how to operate uprightly in everything. They are going to know the Torah of Yahuwah. It is almost the Jeremiah 31, if we look at it, when he says that "I will put my law and my Torah in your inward parts and cause you to walk in them." You are going to know and understand every upright path.
What quote is that? Is that in Enoch? You're in Enoch?
I'm in Enoch with 11, where he says, "And in which they shall rejoice, and all the righteous shall be rewarded, who from all these shall acquire the knowledge of every upright path." But what I was,
The linear pathways of the covenant does go through the ages and dispensations.
So, and as he said, like, I'm gonna go Jeremiah 31, because that's where I went with that, just to show. And then 31. So we're in Jeremiah 31 real quick.
Jeremiah. Oh, look at I'm on that page.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird.
And he says, "See, the days are coming, declares Yahuwah."
31.
Yep, 30. Yep, and then verse 31. "When I shall make a renewed covenant with the house of Yashraal and with the house of Yehuda, not like the covenant I made with their fathers in the day when I strengthened their hand to bring them out of the land of Mitzrayim," or Egypt. "My covenant which they broke." See, they broke. See, Yashraal, they broke the covenant, though I was a husband to them, declares Yahuwah. "For this is the covenant I shall make with the house of Yashraal after those days, declares Yahuwah." Key point there, Yehuda is not mentioned. He made the house one. This is that covenant he's talking about. I shall put my Torah. I'm sorry, what?
Oh no, because the book of Enoch is showing how every uprightness covenant that was ever made will be preserved.
There was only
And this is
one righteous covenant.
Well, it's saying when I will make a new covenant with the people
Renewed.
of Israel. So he's making a new covenant. It's not renewed. It's a
It
new
is renewed.
covenant.
It's renewed when you look in the Hebrew. It's more of it's a renewed covenant. It's no different than his covenant, like he says right here. And you get even the context. Even if you were to go with a new covenant, we'll just go with that.
It's just remaining peace. But I'm hearing your message.
So it's and it says, "For this is the covenant I shall make with the house of Yahshua after those days," declares Yahuwah. So this is the covenant. I will put my Torah, my instruction, in their inward parts and write it on their hearts. And I shall be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. And no longer shall they teach each one his neighbor and each one his brother, saying, "Know Yahuwah, for they all shall know me, from the least of them to the greatest of them," declares Yahuwah. "For I shall forgive their crookedness and remember their sins no more." So we're going to get our crookedness and sins forgiven as when we get into covenant. And this is what he's saying. And when it's fully manifested in everything, because we're in the process of this covenant. We're not saying we're in this covenant exactly right now, because we are still, we're still like I'm right here right now making a live feed teaching people to come to Yahuwah, know who Yahuwah is, learn his instructions. So we are not fully into this covenant, but once we get there, we are going to completely walk in his instructions, completely walk in how he has commanded us. So this is what we're doing right now. We are at this point trying to get people to come to Yahusha, because that is how you get into the renewed covenant. Now,
it's deeper than that though, because it says, verse 32 in Jeremiah 31:32, it says, "It will not be like the covenant I made with their ancestors when I took them by the hands,
which they broke, because it was a physical. We have to understand. You have to go back into that time. They broke that covenant. And he's saying it's not in a different covenant. Because the only difference of that covenant back then, what he gave, it's reestablished. Exactly. Yep.
That would certainly be true. Yeah, I get it.
Yep. Okay. So yeah. So this is where Enoch was showing. We're gonna go. Where was that? And in verse 12, and at the remuneration shall take place over the whole earth. So when he makes everything new at the end. For I and my son. What? What did that say in Enoch? For I and my son will forever hold communion with them in the paths of uprightness while they are still alive. Peace shall be yours. Rejoice, children of integrity in the truth.
Shalom, shalom.
So what did he say? What did Yahusha say? I am the way, the truth, the life. Hallelujah. So are we seeing Enoch? This is Enoch. We are in Enoch right now, and I'm actually gonna be done with Enoch for now. Just so people know, I got a Safar. That's what I was reading out of for that.
Just out of curiosity, or for knowledge on those who are watching, how many years before Christ was Enoch written?
I'm sorry?
How many years before Christ, or what you would call, sorry if I accidentally say the word Christ.
Mashiach.
But how many years before the messenger there was Enoch's book written?
I don't know exact dates. Like I said, Enoch was written, like I said, in the time of Noah. So these we're talking thousands of years in between Enoch and Messiah coming in flesh. So this is a really huge span of time to be actually showing. And like even with Daniel, even though the book of Daniel was closer to the time of Messiah, what we read in Daniel still lined up with Enoch, which was wrote thousands of years before even Daniel.
True.
So
Daniel's still living today with the dreams that he translated with Nebuchadnezzar.
So we're seeing, something. The Most High is eternal, and that's what we have to understand: is Yahuwah is eternal. He doesn't have a time frame like we have time frame, so he can operate however he feels whenever he feels, at what moment of time he feels like operating in it. He can't, he's sovereign and control of all.
He knows
So
everything and wants to preserve peace, and he's going to work towards
do
that.
exactly his will be done on earth as it is in heaven. I want to read, because like I said, I'm just, these verses here just to show Mashiach, to show who Messiah is. Because people don't, we don't believe, there's people who walk away from Yahusha. And it's like, you can't get to the Father without Yahusha. That's just simple. Yahusha said it. Yahusha said it. It's been shown that the Spirit of Yahweh has to come upon you. And even in Deuteronomy 13. I'm going to go to Deuteronomy 13.
Reading for...
Huh? Deuteronomy is book 5, actually. Book 5 of the Torah. And we're going to start... I'm actually going to start in verse 12 and verse 30, just because I want to read some of this. But we're going to get into, there's a reason I'm going into that. Just bear with me here. So in Deuteronomy 12 and verse 30, and we are going to read into Dabarim, or Deuteronomy 13. So it says, Deuteronomy 12 and verse 30, guard yourself, that you are not ensnared to follow them after they are destroyed from before you, and that you do not inquire about their mighty ones, saying, how did these nations serve their mighty ones? And let me do so too. This is Yahweh. Do not do so to Yahweh your Elohim. For every abomination which Yahweh hates, they have done to their mighty ones. For they even burn their sons and daughters in the fire to their mighty ones. So back in, we got to look at back in this time, they were doing sacrifices and all this. He said that stuff is wicked. I didn't want that. I learned actually recently, like this morning, I knew about the paganism of Christmas and all this and that. But what I had actually found out, and I'm going to have to research a little more on it myself, but from the preliminary study, the preliminary research that I did and seen, was that this Christmas tree, the ornaments and these things that they put on today, actually, if we go back into the times of the Babylonians and Nimrod and all them, these were part of it was part of rituals, and part of these rituals, they did have a tree, and where the ornaments as we see today, they actually represented body parts of the human sacrifices and things that they would do, and they would place these on the tree and whatever other ritualistic things. Yeah, it was like I said, I studied about it this morning, and I was like, that's what the, yeah, and I'm like, wow. So it's like like literally have been tricked into taking on traditions that were actually rituals of paganism and rituals for demon worship. And we don't understand that, because we are, as Mashiach even said, the world is under the rule of the wicked one right now. So the wicked one is just trying to get everybody to do wickedness, to become a foul stench to Yahweh. And that's what's so important about us that have the light, that us that understand Messiah and understand the function and understand, the instructions of Yahweh have not gone away with. It's because we need to be that light. As Yahusha said, you are the light of the world. The world is covered in darkness. We see it. And like I said, we have innocent children thinking it's okay for, to celebrate the Christmases and celebrate the Halloweens and celebrate all these things. And, they only see the costumes and the candies and the gifts, and, they see things that would look attractive to a child, but not understanding that these things were done in honor to demons, in honor to those that actually hate mankind. And this is where everything actually stems from. If we can simplify things, Dan. We can simplify things by simply putting it like this. if we understand that Yahuwah is the creator, and we understand that Yahuwah has sent his son, and his word is truth, and his instructions are righteous, and everything like that. So we understand that he is good. And if we understand that these demons, these fallen entities, these fallen angels, they do not want redemption for man, because mankind can receive redemption, but the fallen demons cannot. Even Enoch, it says they are not going to get. When they used Enoch, they tried to plead to the Most High through Enoch to say, hey, can we get redemption? No, they can't. There is no coming back from their fallen estate, because they fell from greatness. See, we're trying to reach it, because we ourselves were all born in iniquity. We ourselves were already born in a fallen state. So we have to overcome our natural fallenness in order to become what the Most High had originally designed and planned for us to do. For as on the fallen messenger side of it, they started there and they chose to come down. So there's your difference. They don't get that because you already knew greatness and you chose to walk away from it. So it's like, nah, cut off. And so we got to understand that. And the thing is, and it's so much deeper. And that's why I like the extra books. That's why I like the books of Enoch and everything, because they don't keep everything in like a boxed religion, if you will, because there are things that are in like the book of Enoch and that go into more of the spiritual side. Whereas I feel like growing up, when I grew up in the Christian church and things, I felt like they kind of tried to make the Most High fit into their world instead of them fitting into his.
That's what we do.
So
Yeah, they were morphing into what suits their needs.
right, and that's not how it is. It's supposed to be at all. So that's why he says, "Do not do so." And I'm going to continue back in 31. Do not do so to Yahuwah, your Elohim, for every abomination which Yahuwah hates, they have done to their mighty ones. For they even burn their sons and daughters in the fire to their mighty ones.
Yeah.
All the words I am commanding you, guard to do. Do not add to it, nor take away from it. That's where I wanted to address that too. Is why I went in here and started where I did. Is because he has clearly said, don't add to, don't take away. People like to say Mashiach added to the words or took away from the words of the Most High. They don't have no understanding. They're not understanding. He never added, he never took away. He was showing you how to operate in the ruach of these instructions. The ruach, the spirit of these instructions. This is what Mashiach was teaching. Moshe brought the Torah. Moshe brought the instructions. So you knew how to step by step move. But you have to have that spiritual application. And that's what Yahusha brought. And now we're in verse 13. This is where I was on. When there arises among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and he shall give you a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder shall come true. So he's saying some of these people out here that are doing witchcraft and who are prophesying and things like that, some of the stuff they do, you'll see that it manifests. But here's the key right here. Of which he has spoken to you, saying, this is where it is. This is how you tell the difference between the false prophets, the ones that Yahweh sent and the ones that Yahweh did not send. He said, and the sign and the wonder come true, of which he has spoken to you, saying, let us go after other mighty ones, which you have not known, and serve them. So if they're a prophet trying to get you to do outside of Yahweh, what does he say? Do not listen to the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams. For Yahweh, your Elohim, is trying you to know whether you love Yahweh, your Elohim, with all your heart and with all your being. And we know that's Deuteronomy 6 and things. Verse 4, walk after Yahweh, your Elohim, and fear him and guard his commands and obey his voice and serve him and cling to him. All right, so what we just read, if this prophet was to lead you away from following Yahweh, even what he said is true, you don't follow it because he's leading you away from Yahweh. I went there because I want us to going back to Yahusha, because people say Yahusha is a prophet. Um, so if this is the case, yeah, and some people want to say he's a false prophet. Well, if he's a false prophet, where did he tell you to turn away from Yahweh? This is what I want to bring out as a challenge. Someone tell me where he told you to quit following Yahweh. In fact, we're gonna go somewhere real quick. Well, before I go there, I want to go Deuteronomy 18 real quick.
People say that?
Yes, there are
All
people.
all of the traces lead back all the way through the lineage.
And yeah, it's amazing to see how people are blind. It is amazing.
There is a lot of study. There is a lot of study that it needs to go through. Though.
Yeah.
Those of the knowledgeable will see that it's traced to purification.
They don't really listen to his words.
No, they don't. But and I wanted to come here and we're gonna go here. I'm in Deuteronomy 18, and we're gonna start. I'm gonna start in verse 9 again. When you come into the land which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you, do not learn to do according to the abomination of those nations. See, he's repeating himself again. Let no one be found among you who makes his son or daughter pass through the fire. We just read that. Or one who practices divination, or a user of magic, or one who interprets omens, or a sorcerer, or one who conjures spells, or a medium, or a spiritist, or anyone who calls up the dead. For whoever does these is an abomination to Yahweh. And because of these abominations, Yahweh your Elohim drives them out from before you. Here we go again. Be perfect before Yahweh your Elohim. For these nations whom you are possessing, do listen to those. See, they listen to the ones who use magic, to the diviners. But as for you, see, Yahweh is speaking to his people. Again, this is what I want to say, is he is speaking to his people. If they have no interest or want to be a part of Yashraal, if Yahweh is not their Elohim, don't harass. Because he's only giving these instructions to his people. His people. If you call yourself under the umbrella of Yahweh, this is for you. This is who we're talking to. Those who claim Yahweh as their Elohim. Yahweh, all right, he says, but as for you, Yahweh your Elohim has not appointed such for you. So Yahweh has not appointed us for us to do this. But this is what Yahweh told us in verse 15. Yahweh your Elohim shall raise up for you a prophet like me, like Moshe, from your midst, from your brothers. Listen to him. See, these are the instructions from Yahweh that Moshe is giving the people. According to all you asked of Yahweh, your Elohim, in Horeb, in the day of the assembly, saying, let me not hear again the voice of Yahweh my Elohim, nor let me see this great fire anymore, lest I die. And Yahweh said to me, what they have spoken is good. Verse 18, Daniel, what did I say? Go out there and play, please. In verse 18, no. I shall raise up for them a prophet like you. See, this is Yahweh talking. He said, I shall raise up for them a prophet like you out of the midst of their brothers. And I shall put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak to them all that I command him. So this prophet is going to speak all the words of Yahweh. And it shall be the man who does not listen to my words, which he speaks in my name, I require it of him. See, we see the instruction. There is a prophet that is getting raised up like Moshe. We gotta to understand what that means. We gotta understand exactly what Moshe did. I'm not gonna get into this teaching. I'm already kind of behind on what I was trying to get to. I still got a little bit more, but we gotta understand who Moshe was, what Moshe did, to understand, to get more of an understanding of what this prophet that is going to have Yahweh's words in his mouth is. That's how we're gonna have to look at that. And we're gonna have to see. Well, like I said, that's a study for another time. I'm gonna go on right now. I want to go to Psalms real quick. I want to hit 2 verses in Psalms. Then I want to jump into the New Testament because we'll get there. We'll go into more.
What number Psalms?
We're going actually into the first Psalm.
Psalms 1.
The very first Psalm. The very first one. Or actually, second one. My apologies.
Psalms 2.
Yes, Psalms 2. All right. Psalms 2. Why do the nations rage and the peoples meditate emptiness or vanity of things of naught? The sovereigns of the earth, the kings of the earth, take their stand, and the rulers take counsel together. We can call that, what do we want to say, UN, NATO type of things, councils
I see
together.
Papacy. I see him with
Papacy can be that too, because everyone does actually fall under his umbrella when you look into it.
Right.
But yeah, we just got a lot we can say in there. And the rulers take counsel together against Yahuwah, so against the Most High, and against his Mashiach. So we're seeing even Dawood wrote about a Mashiach. I think we covered Daniel writing about Mashiach. I think we covered Enoch writing about Mashiach. I think we covered Moshe and Deuteronomy writing about Mashiach. We're in Dawood. Let's keep going. My setup. Let's keep going here. In verse, where was I at? In verse 3. Let us tear apart their bonds and throw away their ropes from us. This is what they were saying. They want to tear away their bonds, tear away the bonds of the Torah, tear away the ropes from us. This is what the nations are saying. He who is sitting in the heavens laughs. Yahuwah mocks at them. Then he speaks to them in his wrath and troubles them in his rage, saying, but I have set my sovereign on Zion. So Yahweh said he set a king? Wait a minute. He didn't say he was king. Yahweh said he set a king there. On my set apart mountain, I inscribed for a law. Yahweh has said, you are my son. Today I have brought you forth. Ask of me, and I make the nations your inheritance, and the end of the earth your possession. Break them with a rod of iron. Dash them to pieces like a potter's vessel. And now be wise, O kings. Be instructed, you rulers of the earth. See, here's the instruction Yahweh is giving. He's trying to tell them, serve Yahweh with fear and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the chosen. Or in certain translations, it says, kiss the Son. Wait, you got to kiss the Son? You got to kiss the chosen? The one he elected? Wait, didn't we see that in Enoch? Didn't we see that in Daniel? Oh, okay. I was just making sure.
David
You know what I'm
was
saying?
a carrier of the covenant. And he passed it to his son Solomon.
And you so in verse 12, kiss the Son, lest he be enraged, angered, and you perish in the way. For soon his wrath is to be kindled. Blessed are all those taking refuge in him.
And remember, Psalms is the middle between Old and New Testament.
Well, it's one of the, and if we look at it, really, Psalms was like, Dawood, he was in like the beginning of the kingdom being established. So, I mean, we we can see like he had Torah, like in a sense, like you said, there's the Torah, and then there's Mashiach in the New Testament, and he's writing about Mashiach right here in Psalms 2. The other place I was going real quick in Psalms is I want to go to Psalms 110. And Daoud wrote this. Remember, King Daoud wrote this. King David wrote this. And, you know, we if we go through the promises that were given to King Daoud about his son and his throne reigning forever, we'll see it talks about his son. It talks so so you'll see that it references his son. You know, some people
It's the footstool that you created that song, and there's a quote on the footstool here.
in the 110.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this is interesting. This comes together. So in Psalms 110, I'm starting at the top. Psalms 110. Yahuwah said to my master. Daoud wrote this. Daoud said, Yahuwah said to my master. So Yahuwah was talking to someone. Yahuwah was obviously talking to someone. He ain't talking to himself. Sit at my right hand. What? Sit at my right hand until I make your enemies a footstool for your feet.
Like the earth is a footstool for mine.
Yahuwah sends your mighty scepter out of Zion. Rule in the midst of your enemies. Your people volunteer in the day of your might, in the splendors of set apartness. From the womb, from the morning, you have the dew of your youth. Yahusha died at what age? He died younger than me. I'm 35.
Right.
I'm 35 right now. So he died at 33. Yeah, he still had the young dew of his youth. Sounds like to me. I mean,
Yeah.
verse 4. Yahuwah has sworn and does not relent. So Yahuwah is making this covenant. He don't break his covenants. This is what he's saying to the. Hold on, he's talking to Yah. He's talking to Dawood's master, right? That's what we got in Psalm 110 in the beginning. You know, Yahuwah said to my master. So we know this swearing is coming to whoever Yahuwah was talking to. Yahuwah has sworn and does not relent, saying, "You are a priest forever." How long is he a priest for?
Forever.
Forever. He ain't. So that means 2 weeks. Does that mean 3 years? No, he said forever. It's an everlasting priesthood. Barak Yahuwah. According to the order of Melchizedek. So this isn't to the order of after the order of Levi. This is not after the order of Levi. This is after the order of Melchizedek. You got to read in Abraham. Figure out a little bit about Melchizedek. But the way you find out really about the Melchizedek priest order, follow Yahusha, the high priest of the Melchizedek order. That's how you know how the Melchizedek order works.
That's a new word for me. The Melchizedek is in this translation too. So that's interesting. The Melchizedek.
In the Hebrew, it's Malak Zadik. When you look at it, Malak is king, and Zadik in the Hebrew is righteous. So he is a king of righteousness.
Yeah, because God would not be calling upon through a manifestation, which David was the carrier of the covenant on Melchizedek being a priest forever, if in fact he wasn't a worthy one.
So according to the order of Melchizedek, Yahuwah at your right hand, so he's talking about the right hand of Yahuwah again, shall smite sovereigns in the day of his wrath. He judges among the nations. He shall fill the nations with dead bodies. He shall crush the head over the mighty earth. Talking about Hasatan. Again, what did Yahusha say when he left? The world is going to be turned over to the wicked one. What did we see in Psalm 10? Daoud knew. Daoud seen. Daoud is prophesying right here. He drinks the streams of the wayside, therefore he does lift up the head. So, hallelujah, Barak Yahuwah. So, I wanted to go through those verses that I've read, those passages of scripture. I read those so that we can see clearly. And I have one more passage of scripture I want to go into in the Old Testament, but we're going to go that at the end. I'm going to go at the end. I'm getting close to wrapping this up. We're going to do a couple other things real quick. I just want to go over a couple verses. Because what I want to say is, I understand a lot of people that have turned away from the Messiah. They have they've turned away from him because of one, the discrepancies of the New Testament. They feel that because it was written in Greek, blah blah blah, such and so forth. That's one reason they don't agree. They don't believe in him. Another thing is like a lot of people do not understand that he never considered himself the father. So for some people, for some reason, people like to insert that into the text when it's not there. So that is a thing that's kind of like their own mind keeps them away from Mashiach. Others is they have looked at there's a documentary out there, and I might either post it in the comments after I do this teaching, or maybe post it sometime on my page. But mind you, when this documentary that I believe a lot of people are watching, and it's taking them away from the Messiah. I believe it was called Constantine's Christ, I believe, or something like that. I'll have to look it up. I'll have to look it up. I don't remember exactly if that's the right name of this documentary.
All right. Constantine does serve a great purpose in history by seeing the cross in the sky. But
That one is a false situation. I will go into that later on.
Sure.
But yeah, we'll talk about that because I mean, yes, he did see it, but it's not what people think.
It was the cross of hypocrisy kind of thing. Like now you're slaying lots of people and they're imperialistic. Now fall to the cross kind of feel.
I mean that like I said, we'll get into more on that because like you said, he did see it, but it's not what we think as far as why it pushed. I mean, in a sense, it did push Christianity how it was because then after that, he's seen that Rome conquered everything and Catholicism went through and Inquisition started.
Yeah,
and
it's interesting. Actually,
so
the religion at that time that was closer to peace was the pagan belief structure.
it was,
at
it
that
was
time of Constantine.
and they were all pagans. That's the thing is they weren't. Like I said, this is a deep study, and like I said, we'll get into that. We'll chop that up a little later.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna try to conclude right here about the Messiah because that's what I'm trying to keep my focus with on this.
And I would like to go into that no more too.
Right.
I feel like I'm missing things.
So, but like I said, with a lot of people missing out, and they get away from the Messiah is like I said, that was like Constantine's Christ or whatever. Well, they were basically saying, to say it in a nutshell, they were saying the pattern of Messiah's ministry is the same as the Flavius when they conquered Yashral and until they finally took Jerusalem in 70 AD, and they so that's what a lot of driving things is on. But again, when you look at it and say, how did Rome really know how to put words in the Hebrew culture? How did they know? Because you don't, even if you live with some, like we in America, I'm going to use this in a perfect example. We clearly have, just for an example, you have the like a European culture and the urban black culture, per se. So you will see, Europeans do things certain way, black folks do things certain way, Judah does things certain way. Now, with that being said, even though we have been in a society that's somewhat intermingled, we'll just say for the sake, you still have lack of understanding in cultures. Even in our time, even though there might be people we see on a daily basis, but there's a lack of understanding culture. So they could not write something they couldn't write something true enough or really authentic for a culture you don't fully understand, even if you are engaging with it on a daily basis. If that is not your culture, you're not going to understand it like it should be understood. So just to try to bring that down. So that's where people have to understand when you read these things in the New Testament and you're trying to look at it and say, well, nah, Rome created this. If you really understood the scripts, Rome did not write these. It couldn't have been possible for Rome to write, the way things are wrote. There are certain Hebraic poetry written in the New Testament even that wouldn't be grasped from from a Roman perspective. We also have to understand at that time, Rome, Rome slash Greek, they're pretty much the same people. But anyway, they their whole thing was philosophy. They felt their philosophy was right. They would grab from other cultures, take a little bit here, a little bit there, but it was their culture. That's why in Yahusha's time they were Hellenized Jews. They took on more of a Greek ideology, more of a Greek culture than their Hebraic culture. So we got to understand the breakdowns that we getting from people. You got to really think about it. You can't just say, "Oh, well, you know, that matches what the Flavius did, so it's got to be." No, you got to read deeper. And another thing, like I want to say, is if you want to deny the Messiah, that's on you. I can't control what people think, what they feel, how they move, none of that. But if you're going to deny somebody, and if you're going to condemn somebody, don't condemn it on basis of, what scholars, quote unquote, would say how the New Testament came about. Let's read the New Testament. And this is what I'm trying to get at. I'm going to get ready to wrap these up here soon,
Where
but
are you at though?
I'm going to read, we're going to actually start in Matthew chapter 5.
Chapter 5, man.
And we're probably going to read quite a few verses here because I want to actually start
Just right at the beginning of chapter 5.
start right at the beginning of chapter 5. We're going to probably read at least till 18, 19. But when he saw the crowds, this is Yahusha, he went up on the mountain, and when he was seated, his taught ones came to him, and having opened his mouth, he was teaching them, saying, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, because theirs is the kingdom of the heavens. Blessed are those who mourn, because they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, because they shall inherit the earth." Well, we talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. So you got to thirst and hunger to be righteous, because they shall be filled. Blessed are the compassionate, because they shall obtain compassion. Blessed are the clean in heart. Gotta have a clean heart, because they shall see Elohim. You ain't gonna see Elohim without a clean heart. Blessed are the peacemakers, because they shall be called the sons of Elohim. Blessed are those persecuted for righteousness' sake. So it's not just being persecuted. I want everyone to understand something. It's not about just being persecuted, because there are people who are persecuted for what they look like, for how they talk, for how they dress, for everything. But he says you got to be persecuted for righteousness' sake. There are some people getting persecuted for being wicked. But that's a rightful persecution if we look at it from from the eyes and the perspective of a righteous Elohim, of a righteous mighty one.
Those who seek justice are in fact following a path of righteousness.
Exactly. You understand it's righteous judgment. If you're a wicked person, you can't be mad if you're a person that just wants to commit all kinds of suicide or all kinds of murder and all kinds of pain and exactly.
But the thoughts are often natural in the human species,
And-
but at the same time,
and that's
and stay living.
and those kind of thoughts that come are I wouldn't even go as far as say as natural to human to an extent, because granted we are in a fallen state, so it allows us to have fallen thoughts come to us. However, I believe the fallen, like for those kind of thoughts for suicide and things like that, is more spiritually driven. They're more driven by, again, like when in Enoch and stuff, these evil spirits, they hate mankind, period. So they're going to put thoughts in a man's head or in mankind's head to do what? To bring, to, as Yahusha said, steal, kill, destroy. So these things are, these things right here are things that are negative. You're not supposed to have, I heard this on a teaching one time. And shout out to Rebirth of a Nation, More Mo, because it was one of his teachings that I heard this. So shout out to Rebirth, Shabbat Shalom to all y'all. But what he was saying is, man wasn't made to experience trauma. We weren't made to experience hurt and pain and depression and sadness. This is not how Yahuwah created us. These are things that happen because of our fallen state, not our original, if that makes sense.
It's actually a really good interpretation
So-
because you're preserving the nobility of the human soul.
It's saying that because of us, because we are not naturally made to experience these things. So when we experience these things are coming from an outside place of not righteousness, of not of Elohim, because Elohim is of love. Elohim does not give us the spirit of fear. You know, he doesn't give us the spirit of cowardice. He doesn't give us the spirit of depression or anger or any of those things. Though when you have spirits of anger, spirits of depression, spirits of sadness, spirits of suicide, these thoughts and these things come from a different spirit, not the spirit of Yahweh. And that's what we have to understand. And Yahusha was trying to let us see this in as well. And I'm going to go in verse 12, Matthew 5 and verse 12, try to keep going. Rejoice and be glad, because your reward in the heavens is great. For in this way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt becomes tasteless, so if you lose your righteousness, he's telling them, if you lose your righteousness, you lose. How are you going to salt the world? How are you going to bring season to it? You know, for it is no longer of any use, but to be thrown out and trodden down by men. Again, he says in verse 14, you are the light of the world. It is impossible for a city to be hidden on a mountain, nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket. So what is he saying here? This is Mashiach's word saying again here. He's saying, you are the light. Don't hide being the light. You don't hide light. People need the light. They need the light so they can see.
At the end of the dark tunnel.
Yes, exactly. Light at the end of the tunnel. But and it says, nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it shines to all those in the house. Let your light so shine before men, so that they see your good works and praise your Father in the heavens. So he's telling them, you got to be righteous so people can see what righteousness is, how righteousness moves, everything like that. And here I was going to. This is where I was getting to. Matthew 5:17. Being that I'm from Lansing, our area code is 517. I love it. I love Matthew 5:17. And this is the verse that I want to show, because it will, if you look, we went over Deuteronomy 18, we went over Deuteronomy 13. We got the prereqs and how we're supposed to vet out if a prophet is from Yahuwah or not. This right here, do not think that I came to destroy the Torah or the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to complete. For truly I say to you, till the heaven and the earth pass away, one yod, if we understand what the yod is, and that's the Abrit letter yod, or one title shall by no means pass from the Torah till all be done. Whoever then, listen, this is where I'm saying, this is Yahusha. This is Yahusha's words. We have to understand, this is Yahusha's words. This is what the writer of Matthew penned down that Mashiach said. So, what did he say in verse 19? Whoever then breaks, breaks, in that commit sin, one of the least of these commands, and teaches men so. You telling them the law's done away with? You saying it don't matter no more to follow the ways of the Most High? This is what Yahusha's saying. This is Yahusha's words. Who people want to say ain't from Yahuwah. He ain't from the Father. He's no. What is he saying? Whoever then breaks one of the least of these commands and teaches men so shall be called least in the reign of the heavens. But whoever does and teaches them shall be called great in the reign of the heavens. For I say to you that unless your righteousness, again, that word again, being righteous, exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees. These are your religious leaders. These are the ones who wore the long seats and the long robes and wanted to be called great one or rabbi. That's what that means in the Hebrew. It means great one. They wanted all this esteem. They wanted all this. You shall by let me finish this real quick. You shall by no means enter into the reign of the heavens. So he's telling them right now, your righteousness has to be beyond the Pharisees and Sadducees, and that doesn't mean we have. Let me back this up real quick and say this. What Yahusha was saying was he was saying the Pharisees sought to kill people, sought to kill him. The Pharisees, they had where to honor your mother and father. And he goes into all these different parts of scripture later on. But he talks about honoring your mother and father. But there was a tradition where you wouldn't have to take care of your mother and father per se. You could take that, whatever you were going to use to help them out, and give it to the temple, and they would count that as a righteous. And no, that's not what Yahusha was teaching, because that nullifies honor your mother and father. You can't just take what you were supposed to that was supposed to help them, supposed to be in a way honoring of your mother and father, and then give it to the temple for the Pharisees. No, that's not what it was supposed to be. You want to put it modern day terms? Your Sunday pastors are passing around the collection plate. They want to pass around the collection plate, but knowing doggone well you're struggling on your bills or something like that. That move is not righteous. You should be helping. This is what we're saying. This is what Mashiach was saying. Walk in the spirit of righteousness. See, the Pharisees didn't do that. They were hypocritical. They looked righteous. They were whitewashed tombs. Man. Hallelujah. Barak Yahuwah. I wanted to go one other place before I actually ended this teaching, because well, actually there's probably a little more here. I apologize. Trying to where are we at here? Oh yeah, Matthew. I wanted to go over to Matthew again. And I want to go into chapter 23. I just want to read this real quick. Just a couple verses in Matthew chapter 23, and we're starting in the first verse. Then Yahusha spoke to the crowds and to his taught ones, saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit on the seat of Moshe. Therefore, so what is he telling you? He's saying the scribes and Pharisees, they sit on the seat of Moshe, meaning they sit in that authority of Moshe. Meaning, Moshe was the mediator. He was supposed to teach Israel the commands.
Yeah, that's the Pharisees sit in Moses'
Seat.
Moses.
Yep, so they were supposed to, they sat in his seat, meaning they were supposed to be operating in his authority, which is teaching.
Yeah.
Therefore, whatever he say to you to guard and do. So he's telling you, whatever Moshe told you, again, this is Matthew 23. This is Yahusha's words. Do not do according to the, he says, say to you, to guard and do, but do not do according to their works. For they say and do not do. For they bind heavy burdens, hard to bear, and lay them on men's shoulders, but with their finger they do not wish to move them. and they do all their works to be seen by men, and they make their tafilin wide and lengthen the seat of their garments. And they love the best places at feasts and the best seats in the congregations and the greetings in the marketplaces. And to be called by men, we just went over it, Rabbi, Rabbi. But you, Mashiach speaking again, but you, do not be called Rabbi, for one is your teacher, the Messiah. And you are all brothers. So we're all supposed to be brothers in this. And do not call anyone on earth your father. Do not call anyone on earth your father, for one is your father, he who is in the heavens. Neither be called leaders, for one is your leader, the Mashiach. But the greatest among you shall be your servant. And whoever exalts himself shall be humbled, and whoever humbles himself shall be exalted. I'm not going to go into all the woes, because he does more woes. But, it was going in.
Whoa.
Woe to you, Pharisees. But, over and over, calling them out. But what I wanted to point out was that in Matthew 23, he's telling you to guard the commands. He's telling you to keep Torah. So if he is declaring that he is the Son of the Most High, he's declaring that he is the way, the truth, the life. He is telling you to keep the commands of the Most High Yah, to bow and serve only Yahuwah. What we just, the verses we read in Matthew alone show that he was a prophet sent from Yahuwah, that he was sent from Yahuwah. We have to get this, man. We have to understand that he is who he said he is. And we have to understand, because time is of the essence, it's of importance. But I think I'm going to go to my last page. So I'm going to go on and wrap this up. Let me get ready to wrap this up. We're going to read Proverbs 8. We're going to read Proverbs 8.
Proverbs?
Yep, we're going to Proverbs. Yep,
We love Proverbs 8.
Proverbs 8.
Solomon's writings.
Yep, we are in Solomon's writings. This is going to be a crucial one. I'm going to say this before we get into this, because I'm going to probably read this whole chapter. And there's some things that are in this chapter. I don't want to get too much involved in it. But for us to understand, I don't want to get in. Let me read Salakia back up. I don't want to get too involved in it for the sake of time. I'm trying to, like I said, wrap this up. But I will say that this verse is in reference to the spirit of wisdom. And we'll see that this in the writings in like the KJV and in a lot of translations, it's translated, the spirit is translated as a she. Oh, no. Why is my battery not?
I love that Solomon writes.
Is that plugged in?
Feminine. He always gives praise to the females. And he's doing that.
Give me just a second, guys. I gotta get my battery right before it dies out on me.
You can try that switch.
Oh, I gotta use the bathroom.
I think, yeah, your light just popped on, so it's good.
It did pop on? Awesome. Sweet, yes. Okay. Barak Yahuwah. Hallelujah. So, all right, Proverbs 8. Now, like I was saying, it is always referenced as a female, a she energy. Well, we have to understand first off, Abri, they don't have that neuter. They don't have that it. It's either male or female. First thing we have to understand. So we have to understand the style of writing we're dealing with. Second off, I am one that has came and understand that I've came to show from further study of the scriptures, there was not a feminine energy in the heavens. And when I say that, and let me go to a verse that shows real quick before we get started like into this. But if we go to Genesis 6, And this is where we got to start reading. I'm just going to read just the first couple verses. And it came to be when men began to increase on the face of the earth, and daughters, feminine right there, daughters, were born to them. The sons of Elohim saw the daughters of men, that they were good, functional. And they took wives for themselves of all whom they chose. So they took wives. If there was female energy in the heavens, in the Shamayim, why would they have to come down and mess with women? That is just where I'm going to leave that at. For that. Just that principle. Why would you fall from your state? Why would you mess with a female or a daughter of man if there were daughters of the heavens, if you will? If there...
I was going to also say, as we read this Proverbs 8, it will even more prove that this is in the female spirit.
You're right. As you read it, if you look at the context in it, you'll see it. So let's go on. So I just wanted to drop those couple things. And like I said, I always will encourage everyone to, if you hear something I say, definitely research it, study it out as best as you can. And if you feel that I am in error somewhere, bring it to my attention, the inbox or whatever, and we can, reason together. I'm not doing arguments. I will make that be known clearly. I don't like to argue. I don't like to cause strife. At the end of the day, if you don't, if you don't believe, like I said, I can't control your belief. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm just here to be the messenger that Yahuwah has called me to do. To be. So, Proverbs 8, here we go, starting in the first verse. Does not wisdom call, and understanding lift up its voice? On the top of the heights, along the way, between the paths he has taken stand. Beside the gates, leading to the city, at the entrance, shouts, O men, I call to you, and my voice is the sons of men. And my voice... And my voice is the sons of men? So wait a minute.
He's the voice of the people.
So what are we seeing is my voice is to the sons of men. So he's speaking to the sons of man to give them understanding. But could we see that his voice is also through the sons of man? You can't, a man, how's someone going to learn? You ain't going to be learning unless you're taught. And who's going to teach you? A man. All right. What's that? In verse 5, you simple ones, understand insight, and you fools, be of an understanding heart. Listen, for I speak noble words, and the opening of my lips is about straightness. For my mouth speaks truth. Truth. What's Yahusha? And wrongness, and being wrong, just being wrong, is an abomination to my lips. All the words of my mouth are in righteousness. None of them, so none of the words from this spirit of wisdom is twisted or crooked. So no twisting, no crookedness, no confusion, no falsehood, all true. All of them plain. See? All of them plain to him who understands. It ain't no guesswork. When you have the understanding, it comes to you plain. And straight to those who find knowledge. Accept my discipline. So accept the discipline of wisdom and not silver. And knowledge rather than choice gold. For wisdom is better than rubies, and all delights are not comparable. I, wisdom, have dwelt with insight, and I find knowledge, foresight. The fear of Yahuwah is to hate evil. I have hated pride and arrogance in every evil way, and the perverse mouth. Even speaking profanity he hates. Selah on that for all of us. Selah on that for all of us. Counsel is mine, and sound wisdom. I am understanding, mightness is mine. By me, sovereigns reign, and rulers make righteous inscriptions. By me, princes rule, nobles are judges of the earth. I love those who love me, and those who earnestly seek me do find me. Man,
That sounds familiar.
I don't know, this sounded real familiar. Riches and esteem are with me, enduring wealth in righteousness. So this is enduring wealth, which is always say endure till the end, you shall be saved. So this is something that's going to last. This is wealth and righteousness. He says enduring wealth and righteousness. So enduring, everlasting wealth and righteousness. My fruit is better than gold and fine gold, and my increase than choice silver. I walk in the way of righteousness, in the midst of paths of right ruling. I bestow substance on those who love me, and to fill their treasuries. Now, we got to pay attention, starting here in verse 22. This is where we need to pay attention to find out what the spirit of wisdom is, who the spirit of wisdom is, because it tells us everything. Verse 22. Yahuwah possessed me. So wait, started right there in the first line in verse 22. Yahuwah possessed me. So this spirit was possessed by Yahuwah. Yahuwah owned this spirit. This was, in a sense, Yahuwah's spirit. Y'all get that? Did y'all get that? Yahuwah possessed me. Yahuwah possessed this spirit. This is a spirit of Yahuwah. All right. The beginning of his way. In the beginning was the word. At the first of his works of old, I was set up ages ago. At the first. In the beginning was the word. Man, hallelujah. Before the earth was, when there was no depths, I was brought forth. Wait, I was brought forth. He was brought. This spirit was brought forth. Let me read this again. Let me make sure I read this right. So I'm going to start in verse 23. I was set up ages ago at the first. I am the first, I am the last, I am the Aleph and the Ta, the beginning and the end. Are we catching who the spirit is yet? Barak Yahuwah. Before the earth ever was. Verse 24. When there was no depths, I was brought forth. Before me no El was formed. Brought forth. When there was no springs heavy with water, before mountains were sunk, before the hills I was brought forth, before he had made the earth and the fields, or the first dust of the world, when he prepared the heavens, I was there. When he inscribed the circle on the face of the deep. I don't know, NASA. I don't know, NASA.
My videos they're making later.
Yeah.
We'll get in that.
Oh, cheesy.
When he set the clouds above, when he made the fountains of the deep strong. Hey, quit now. Where was I at? Forgive me. When he set the clouds above, he made the fountains of the deep strong. When he gave to the sea its law, so that the waters would not transgress his mouth. When he inscribed the foundations of the earth. So he's talking about creation.
Yeah, but he's also including the codes of science.
We are seeing creation. When he inscribed the foundations of the earth, then I was beside him. What did he say? I was beside him. He was beside, the spirit of wisdom was beside Yahuwah. Hold on, what does it say? Then I was beside him, a master workman. So he was a master workman. And I was his delight day by day, rejoicing before him all the time, rejoicing in the world, his earth, and my delights were with the sons of men. I'm going to go back up real quick to the one part that I wanted to read in verse 30. Then I was beside him, a master workman. So this spirit was a workman. This spirit helped in working, in creation. This is what we're seeing. I don't feel like I'm stretching. Is it anybody here? Do I feel like I'm going for a reach as far as saying that from what is written, he is a master workman?
Yeah, one thing I was.
You go.
One thing I wanted to point out. So if we go back and look at that Genesis 1, it says God said, "Let there be light," and then there was light. But then if you go down, it'll show that when He said there's going to be water separated from waters, it'll perfectly say that God separated the waters from the waters, but it didn't say that God did something to create the light.
Yeah.
So that was something that I thought.
You know what? I'm gonna have to look back at that. We're gonna look a little more into that because you might even be showing, man, Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah.
There's
That's all I
something
can
with me,
say.
knowing that Solomon wrote this, the master workman was Solomon.
Couldn't have been.
No,
And-
I'm saying he was though. Look at all of his writings. So someone who
But that's
Oh,
not what he's talking
is a
about
workman.
here.
Right. Well, I
No,
mean,
this is
what
not
he's
humans.
what's going on in 8 because he's describing Earth, the
He was a
instructions.
prophet. He was a prophet
He
who
says that.
manifested the truth of what was to come.
Then I was beside him, a master workman. Huh?
Yeah, before I forget.
Okay, good.
So first of all, because I have looked at this deeply before, and
Sure.
I have
Stop.
never the way, and it was kind of shaped by a teaching and something that I read. So it, I'm definitely open to adjusting that to have my understanding more accurate. But so it's not like God. God is definitely like he's a dude. He says that.
Or a female.
No. God is a
Oh, a masculine energy
but he
from
calls
everything.
himself-
When you look at everything,
But he's
written.
all encompassing because he does encompass like nurturing and
Yeah.
compassion, which are
He has all tendencies of humans.
right.
mankind.
And he had like we can't embody his whole image as one part of creation. We're not capable of that, so that's why he's got like men and women are like the more nurturing and like you can go on and on and on, but that's not the point. So
Yeah, I'm listening.
I've
Just what
thought of
chapter
it
you
as like a Proverbs 8, as
Proverbs
like
8.
a not a spirit, but kind of more like wisdom as an attribute, and like the way that it's being addressed here and through the literary tool or whatever of personification, that wisdom is got like it goes along with those compassion and nurturing sorts of female.
it's almost like the lesser spirit of Yahuwah, if you in a sense, because
Well,
It's
this
actually
is
the
a
higher.
convoluted thought I would like to get through to
Okay.
you.
okay, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
So, for my understanding, and like it sounds like you're saying that it is talking about Yahusha here as so that's something that I'll have to look back at and consider, on my own and meditate,
Right.
all that stuff. But from my understanding previously, it's like wisdom is an attribute, not necessarily a spirit. If that makes sense.
Yes, you're right. In an extent, because that's actually one of the. It's kind of funny you actually say that, because I was looking earlier into I believe it was I can't remember where it was in scripture right now, but it's talking about the 7 spirits of Yahweh, and it lists those characteristics. So what came to me when I was in that study was that those are the attributes that make up the spirit of Yahweh, if I'm explaining that correctly.
Right.
So it's and that's again the spirit we only know in part. That's the one thing we always have to remember. No matter how
Right.
strong we learn
Right.
and how much we know, we only know in part.
Right.
We're not going to be able to fully
I'm not all the way
comprehend and figure out that spirit. So we're only going to learn so much about it as we're never going to have a full understanding of the spirit.
So I
then,
could
like
give a definition.
hold on a second. So then, like the practical application of that would be that I don't know the right way to say it because I haven't it takes me like a year sometimes to think on something before I have the words, but like, you know, women that are drenched in the word have like, I've noticed this from being a woman that really like the Bible study. I study the Bible for hours every day, most days is a priority. So like, I think they bring like a different depth of wisdom to it, and so I don't know exactly the right way to say what I'm saying, but it's like valuable. I still never think that women should be like in charge or like the leader, but they do bring like a
And
different flavor maybe, or
and I see what I
subtlety.
kind of see what you're saying, and you're right, and it's exactly what we go into the beginning of creation with Adam, and you look at it, and we really look at it. Eve was taken, the woman was taken from Adam's rib,
Right.
and was built. And when we look in that word in the Abri in the Hebrew, it's it's a built.
Right.
So the woman for Adam, Eve was made specifically for Adam.
Exactly.
And when we see in the beginning where it says like she is to be your helpmeet,
No,
which
that's
means
her function.
which means as her function is she is supposed to help you. That does not mean a man is elevated. And in fact, if we look at it, the only reason, like I think we even covered this last week a little bit, was because of the fall
Right.
is actually what changed the position.
Yeah.
In the original, she was looked at here because she was to do. Adam was supposed to be able to handle this, but she was supposed to be able to handle that. But she was supposed to be able to equally handle that just as well as Adam would, and vice versa. If Adam had to come here, I believe Eve was supposed to handle. They were supposed to be able to. The better explain it, I can cook, my wife can cook. Sometimes I gotta handle something more. Like she won't be able to like lift the couch because it's too heavy for her. So I gotta go lift the couch because I'm physically more able to do so. While she is okay, I'm cooking because you're doing this process which you're needed for. You are built. You're more stronger than me, so you can lift this. I physically can't.
Right.
So in a sense she would cover cooking while I'm taking care of the manual things that she could, or vice versa. Let's say with the children or something, they got a clothes rip. She's more apt at being able to sew than I would, though I could sew. So you see what I'm saying? You got to be able to equally be able. That is the original plan. If we look at it from the original creation, from how the Most High created things, it was an equal status. It was an equal movement because you have your you each have your certain roles. Certain things women do, certain things men do. Just how it is. Men are seed, women are bearers. They give childbirth. It's how it is. Man, you can't change those roles. Those roles don't change. However, if a man is a hunter, but a woman can then teach the children or take care of the house, or vice versa. Let's say the woman was more of a hunter. Like in Jacob's situation, Jacob was not a hunter. He was more of you know. So right. And at that point, you would need, maybe the woman would be more skillful to hunt. What I'm just using is as examples.
Right.
What I'm saying is, when before the fall, it was equal status. The fall is what brought this change of status. Yahusha, being the one to restore everything back to original, is the one to restore it back to now we should be more of. Now we should understand the roles again in righteous and see, and it's all done in righteousness. You have to understand that you're needed here to help for everything to build. You see what I'm saying? Not everybody can be a quarterback. You need
Right.
some people to be linemen. You need some people to be coaches. You need some people to be wide receivers. You have positions that you have to play, but it's equally important. And that is what understanding Yahuwah is what we're supposed to be. And understand that's what he had us in time. That again, having Yahusha, having the Spirit is only going to bring that revelation, because we got people who are Torah believers who believe in the Torah. They believe in keeping the instruction.
Oh, wow.
There are people who believe the Torah, believe in all old school, but yet they have no spirit in them. So they're very confrontational. They don't. They're the ones that are seeking after most, in some cases, seeking multiple wives and all this and that. And I'm not saying that's not biblical. We have to understand that it was biblical at that
There's
point.
a lot of stuff in the
But
Bible that he don't want us to do.
but
So,
see, but at the
Yeah,
same
natural
time, we have to
progression,
understand
evolution of
now.
consciousness.
Exactly. Like now, we are in a time where we should be working on living righteous, not. Back then they were more about multiplying the face of the earth.
right.
Now, so much it's more of established righteousness in the earth.
That's
Yeah,
the
can
end
I,
times.
can I interject a little bit on wisdom too? The definition of wisdom is knowledge plus one's life experiences. So it's adding the life experiences and extracting what happened through a life.
I
I
think
mean,
it's understanding what to do
That
with your
it's
knowledge.
understanding what to do with wisdom because people.
The dictionary is knowledge plus one's life
But see,
experience.
and that is according to a man's definition, you are correct as far as that. But when we're talking wisdom here from the spiritual aspect,
Yeah.
and it's not going to maneuver. You have like Solomon. He was wiser than anyone in his generations. He was considered the wisest on earth. But yet he got that wisdom as a teenager. So he did not have the life experience part, but he had the wisdom.
Like I really feel like wisdom is something that's given.
So exactly,
It's
it's
like-
you have to study in yourself to know wisdom.
you have to
You
study.
receive
But
the
look
spirit
at what
and
he's
the Yahuwah has to choose you and
Look
bless
at
you.
his
words in
The
gender.
spirit
When
of truth.
When he writes, he's saying, "Does not understanding raise her voice."
But see,
He does
and
not say
again,
his.
you gotta see,
Solomon
and this is
writes
where
in
you're
the
coming
female all
from.
the time, and that's why he was wise.
But see, and this is why you gotta understand something here. You gotta understand it is written in the Abrit and the Hebrew, so you have to go to their writing style. We have what's called it. They don't have it in Hebrew. They have male and they have female. And if you go and research scholarly down in the Hebrew,
The Queen
you
of
will
Sheba
see
was
that
educated
known
under Solomon,
you
which
would
rose
need known
Ethiopia to the highest.
that
seal
may
of
be in the Ethiopian things don't understand, but it still does not change the fact about what the mechanics of writing is. You can't change how someone's writing style is.
And
We have its, we have theys. Well, we have those writings in English. They didn't have that in Brit.
This whole
We can
poem
look.
is written in she.
They used
mean,
male and female. We
She
can look
says
in.
her
She
She
Let's
cries
say-
aloud.
So what is
Let's
the-
look at this actually.
What's your
you know
take?
what I'm
What's the
saying?
point of
Because-
it? What's your point of it saying that
Because he
it's
was
written in
educating women to be beyond motherhood. He was educating women to be scholars.
All right, hold on. Okay, so
That's
now
what
when you say
Solomon
behind,
was
motherhood, the role of a mother, all right. So now when you see these, the men are supposed to be prophets, right? But the women are supposed to raise the children.
There's prophetesses
So how
too.
else is the man
Right.
going to be raised?
So let me
without the mother
let me
raising the children?
let me kind of get this going right here, because
Yeah.
or I think we're getting off the topic of what I was trying to get presenting is of this spirit being Mashiach. And understand, we're reading a English translation. We are not reading what was originally written.
Solomon always, throughout the
He
history of
he did not
everyone,
write anything but in Hebrew because he was an Hebrew. He was an
always-
Israelite from the
his
tribe of
students were
Judah.
female. His students
It
were
that's irrelevant to the point of what's being brought here because he's writing in. We personify everything. If we look at it in our day, sometimes you can say a car is a she or a he. Your or
We
come
think-
here, girl.
we
Come
think
here,
of
boy.
it as-
Hey, look at my baby. Look at my baby. Look at my car. Your car is not a baby. It's not physically a baby. It's not physically he or she, but it's what giving person persona exactly to an inanimate object or an object that does not have a gender.
You have.
That is what it is. And that's another thing about Abrit. And in studying it is when we understand it's not always necessarily male, female, how we are brought up and taught in our society. We have to go Eastern culture. Eastern culture, it wasn't necessarily male, female. It could have also been dominant, submissive, if you will. So if you look at it in that prospect, in that aspect of dominant, submissive, you would look at, we would see in that case, and again, we're speaking in the context of spirit here in Proverbs 8. So Proverbs 8 here is we're seeing the context is reference to a spirit. So when we look at things in the spirit world, being that this is a spirit, In the spirit world, we're comparing it to Yahuwah. Yahuwah is the supreme spirit, almighty spirit. He is going to be the only masculine spirit as far as masculine because he is the dominant spirit. Whereas other spirits would be more of a feminine quality because they are submissive to him because he is the dominant. So this is what we have to understand. We have to understand deeper than what we just see on the surface. We have to actually go into understanding how they wrote, what they meant by what they're writing, all this and
Keep
that.
an open mind and consider the entire
And
text.
again, a Solomon writing. You have to know the entirety of the matter. Well, I want to try to finish this up real quick. Where was I at? In verse 32, I think it is. And now, listen to me, you children, for blessed are they who guard my ways. We're seeing it? Listen to discipline and become wise, and do not refuse it. Blessed is the man who listens to me, watching daily at my gates, waiting at the posts of my doors. For whoever finds me, we're talking about the spirit of wisdom, right? Whoever finds me shall find life and obtain favor or grace, as the church would say, from Yahuwah. But he who sins against me, how can you sin against wisdom? What spirit are you? You sin against Yahuwah, because Yahuwah gives the wisdom, right? Yahuwah gives us understanding. Yahuwah gives us knowledge. So whoever sins against me injures himself. All who love me, or all who hate me, love death. What is it that Yahusha said again? He said, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. So through this same spirit that we're reading in Proverbs 8, this same spirit in Proverb 8 is saying, listen to discipline. So take your discipline, become wise, and don't refuse it. Blessed is the man that listens to me. For whoever finds me, they find life. They find the favor of Yahweh. And they find truth. We see, and it was earlier, so we see truth, way, and life. Where? There's it in 32. And now, listen to me, you children, for blessed are they who guard my ways. So we have truth, way, and life all in Proverbs 8. And same thing Yahusha said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. So when we look at all that, we see who Yahusha was when we look at everything. And I'm just gonna end this right here because I'm getting close to I hit my point as far as what I was trying to show as far as Yahusha. But I want to read the last verse of Proverbs 8 one more time, and this is for those who do not believe in Yahusha, because you don't have, like, I can't force you. Like I said, we the Father doesn't force. We have no way to force anyone.
Interject one thing.
Okay, go
Are
ahead.
you talking about who believes or who follows? Because there's a difference. There's a lot of people.
You know what? Barak Yahuwah,
Follow.
thank you for saying that, because you actually made a good point. There are some people who believe and who follow, and like it said in verse 32, blessed are they who guard my way. And if we understand that word guard, it's to keep, it's to cherish, it's to protect everything. So we're seeing the guard the way. So you can believe that he existed. There's many people who believe. I know there are many different faith beliefs that believe that he was. But do they believe in following him? Do they follow his ways? That's what he's saying.
And Mashiach name. And consider him the Savior.
And consider him, exactly. But this last verse I wanted to read, and then I'm going to close out. In Proverbs 8 and verse 36. But he who sins against me, who sins against the spirit that's talking in Proverbs 8, injures himself. All who hate me love death. Yep, you're right. You're right, Sister Erica. Say a lot on that. Because you know what? He's saying it straight up. You sin against me, and if you hate me, we gotta understand when people talk about they don't believe in Mashiach, that's idolatry, that's da 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 da. They're spitting words of hate. And what did he say? If you hate him, you love death. So take those words seriously. I'm just gonna say this in closing. Those who deny the Messiah Yahusha. We went over Enoch, Genesis, Deuteronomy, Proverbs, Psalms. I didn't get into Malachi, which I could have gotten. I didn't get into Zechariah, which I could have gotten into. I didn't go into Isaiah like I could have gotten into. I didn't get into Ezekiel like I could have gotten to. I didn't get into Leviticus like I could have gotten into. Are you seeing what I'm saying here? So all you people who deny Messiah, I use New Testament just for the defense of Yahusha's words. What he said. So, if this teaching, go back and watch part 1. I would definitely encourage you to do that. But in part 1 and in this part 2 teaching, we went majority Old Testament, majority books that are old, books that we even did a couple passages that were before the flood by Enoch. We have all these things showing Mashiach, all these passages of scripture. And all I'm going to say is you better be right. You better be right if you deny Yahusha. You better make sure that Yahusha was not that prophet talked about in Deuteronomy 18 that we have to listen to because he's going to have the words of Yahweh. And if we don't listen to him, Yahweh will require it of us. You better make sure you're right about that. You better make sure that you can say Yahusha ain't there. Because I'll tell you what, you don't want to be standing on your pride and arrogance, because that's really what it is your pride and arrogance from man's teaching to deny Mashiach. You don't want to be there when he returns, because we see what happens to those that do not claim him. Mashiach said, if you deny me before men, I'm going to deny you before my Father in the heavens and deny him before the messengers. Do you want to be denied? That is the question I pose to you. Do you want to be denied? With that being said, I'm going to end this teaching. Y'all willing, I'll be back next Shabbat with another teaching. I don't know what y'all put on me. Whatever he puts on me to teach is what I teach, and I'll leave it at that. So for all that have chimed in now and those that may watch this later, may Abba Yah continue to shine his face upon you, bless you, and give you peace, and reveal his Ruach to you. Always pray to Yahuwah, seek him. Don't just go off of my words. Don't go off of any man's words. Just pray and seek Yahuwah, and he will give you all the directions. He will be the light to your feet, just like his word, just like he has always promised and said. So to all the Mashbakah all around the earth in Yahushua HaMashiach, Shabbat Shalom.